So, we didn't prepare.
No, we are unprepared and fresh spawns to this topic. Technically not, because we've been in this a long time now,
But we didn't. I chose not to cover it. But did you see the latest news of Elon Musk and the limit of tweets that you can see?
So I didn't see it directly, but I saw everybody complaining and just going,
Yeah.
here's my Instagram, this, that, the other.
That happens now every a couple of months. Like
it
people
does,
share
doesn't it? It does, yeah. I'm off to this new platform. I haven't had the limit hit me, unsurprisingly, because I don't scroll that much.
The only thing that I see affecting VP in a bad way, if you don't scroll that much on Twitter, is your posts might not reach as many people.
Oh, yeah. I do think that's having an effect on the reach. And it's probably affecting a lot of the community accounts quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because they, by routine, go through hundreds and hundreds of posts and reshare those posts. So it's putting a bit of a curb on that. But
how would you do it if you were starting now?
I knew that was coming. It's nice. Yeah, because, I mean, it's interesting. Like, people who are starting completely new, it doesn't matter which platform you go into, it's all new. Yeah. But even those who've established themselves on Twitter, if you're on about, I'm going to this other platform, if you've not already created anything there, then you're kind of making a new start again, aren't you?
I'm having that experience through another person. Nico is like trying to start Instagram right now, and he's been talking with me a lot on how do I do this, how do I do that. Today he made his first post, and it's like so weird to like a fresh page in like without hundreds of posts and etc. But yeah, it's hard. I'm always on the mind that you should be on more than one platform. That's
probably, yeah. It depends on the people. So I've got a presence on more than one platform. Like my Instagram exists, but I don't use it, and that's just because I tend to focus on one thing at a time. Yeah. So as for someone starting new, I don't think I can give the advice as to you should pick a platform or you should try and be on all of them, because it depends on the person.
I guess, yeah. I had a couple of people reaching out, not now, but throughout the years, about Flickr. Oh, should I be on Flickr? I don't want to be there, and like people commenting, and I don't reply. That's the problem. If you spread your presence really thin, you won't have the energy to be on multiple places at once.
Which is kind of why I focus on one thing, because I'd rather do one thing well. Or what I hope is well, than sort of start something and never go back to it. I think Flickr's a different one. And this is the thing, each platform's got its own advantages and disadvantages right now. Yeah. Flickr's a bit of a different one, because it's not really a social network as such.
I think it's a storage. I don't look at it as more than storage. Yeah.
It's more of a portfolio. I mean, bear in mind it was set up for that purpose, to give digital photographers somewhere to store their massive libraries of pictures, and they not specialize, but have a specific category for virtual photography now. So it's definitely a good place to have as an ongoing portfolio, because social networks don't showcase the overall work very well.
That's the other
in the moment.
Yeah, I wish Twitter had that, but now Twitter won't have anything good. And if it has, you'll have to pay for it.
That's true. Yeah, anything they do add will be subscription based, won't it?
Yeah.
But if you were starting new, like, would you bother researching which is the best platform for you? Because when we started, did you have any idea really as to which platform was better than another, or for what?
I had no idea. No, I chose Twitter because I only had my personal Instagram and my personal Facebook. and my friends and family were tired of seeing photos of Spider-Man. So I went to the only... I never made a post before that, but I went to the only platform that had no friends and family. And I found the community, and I grew from there. But I think if you are starting right now, the platforms should, at the very minimum, be Twitter and Instagram. It's where the most people in the community are.
Twitter is not the best suited for the
virtual
medium.
photography.
It absolutely isn't.
No.
But it is really well suited for engaging with the community and also engaging with the studios and the publishers. And there's tons of community managers and PR agents, etc., who are very active on Twitter, and they will see the work on there. The downside is that it's not really recognized as a content creator platform.
Yeah.
See episode whatever.
That's the other thing. Like, I see a ton of virtual photographers choosing to go on TikTok or being on Instagram and doing reels instead of and that's fair, but again, it's maybe not the best suited for.
Well, that's probably because it's trying to force it into a slightly different medium. Because the Reels and TikTok is all about short, silly videos, and you're trying to sort of drive virtual photography into fitting that. The obvious way is with the sort of time lapse of the process, and that's fine. If you're to go one further, I think now I wish that I'd invested more time in setting up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Obviously, my content from the blog translates well to YouTube. If you want to just do stills, that doesn't really work again. But if you want to do more about the process,
like slideshows, I see a ton of people doing slideshows. Again, it's that attention span of like seeing a picture for less than 7 seconds. Like you're seeing literally 7 photos spread out across 7 seconds, and then like both platforms now have videos that you can make that you can slide the photo when you want. That's actually a good solution. I never tried it. I never posted one of those. I'm planning on, but yeah. But I guess we should go even backwards.
Further back
to how do you get into this? How do you get into virtual photography?
You see, the thing is, that's a bit different now. It's difficult to answer that because it's a different answer now than it was 5+ years ago.
Yeah.
So I remember telling you about this on Snap as from the interview. It was how I kind of got into it. So I briefly studied photography during my forensic science degree, so I did crime scene photography, and that just gave me a real interest for investigating the details.
That's still the best origin story.
And I loved macro photography because of that. But then my other sort of main hobby growing up was always gaming, and then you used to like do that thing where you'd take pictures of the screen to capture moments and things, and then I had this kind of sort of period playing Little Big Planet where I created content levels, etc. in that, and I remember you could share it to the lbp.me website with little screen captures and things, and that was the sort of first realization of going, I enjoy showing what I've done in the game here. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, the photomodes became more of a thing, and they just put 2 and 2 together, and it was like double interest. Now you can do them at the same time. So I got into it just by stumbling across the tools, essentially. And even years before, when I'd seen the one in Gran Turismo and in Wipeout HD, but you couldn't really do anything with it.
The only connection that I remember PS3 having it was Facebook, so you could share your.
But Gran Turismo 4 was on PS2, so And there was no social networks or anything then. So it's like, what do you do with it? But then nowadays, obviously, there's an interest. You can create something, and there's places to go and put it. So I just fell into it. But I don't know. Like, what do you think is the?
I think nowadays I see a lot of, I don't want to say influencers.
Content creators.
Content creators. Like games media people during their review having like a slight mention of the photo mode.
Yeah.
And then I listen to a lot of gaming podcasts, and they always mention, "Oh, I spent a lot of time on the photo mode," but they never share the pictures on social media.
That's true.
It's more like, "Oh, I took a cool picture. I will share it with my PlayStation friends or my Xbox friends." It's not to share on social media. So I think the first step is to actually like explore a photo mode. Choose a game like you.
But you're right. But I think you sort of need either an existing interest in taking pictures in photography, or a knowledge of what you can do with it to make you. Because so many people have already said, "Oh, I found that on a game years ago, and I didn't know what it was, so I just ignored it."
Yeah.
So,
Like even I have a very good friend that I lend the games to. Like I finish the game, I lend them. And he dabbles on the photo mode, and most of the pictures that he shares with me are pictures from cutscenes. So he just pauses, goes into the photo mode during the cutscene, takes the screenshot, and bounces. Like I see that being like the first step.
Well, I maybe, because I think it's one that you should quickly understand doesn't count as virtual photography. It absolutely doesn't, because the cutscene is not original. But the first step is that desire to capture something that you're seeing in the game. So if you're thinking, what the hell is virtual photography? I suppose that's where to start, is like you're wanting to capture things that you're enjoying in the game, but then you take it one step further, like you said, getting into the photo mode and understanding that, and actually not only capturing the game as it is, but creating your interpretation of that content. So that
and
is
even
that the origin.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Exploring, then the next step is like exploring the tools that you have, even if you don't understand them, even if you don't have like a basis of photography. You go and, oh, this blurs the background, oh, this blurs, like that process of like, oh, this is a filter, I can apply the filter, and then I can choose the intensity. All of that is like I remember doing that on Spider-Man on the PS4 and being blown away by, oh, so photo mode isn't just...
Yeah, but that's like, later on. That's when you say Spider-Man on PS4. So let's rewind you again.
Me?
Yeah. I absolutely agree that exploring the features is an essential thing for people starting out to do. But can you remember... You might not, but can you remember what it was that you first did in a photo mode, and why you went and investigated? Why did you go into it? Like...
Okay, so the story of me and the photo mode on Spider-Man is one that I always found super cringe, because I read on a news article somewhere that Spider-Man PS4 will have a photo mode, and I was like, oh, this is the first photo mode. Like, this makes so much sense. Peter Parker is a photographer, we will have a photo mode. And then I go into the photo mode on Spider-Man, like, first swing, go into photo mode. It was like, I explored the menus, how do I go into the photo mode? I went into the photo mode, and I started, like, moving the camera, and then I found the selfie option, and I was like, okay, let's take a selfie. And then there is no button to capture the photo, and I'm like, how do I do it? How do I capture a photo? And then it dawned to me that you have to screenshot the whole screen. And that was my first experience. Like I honestly only wanted a photo of Spider-Man. And then after I took the photo, I immediately uploaded to Facebook from my PS4 and said, oh, this is going to be a great weekend, something like that. I actually finished the game that weekend. And then I started to very slowly on my first playthrough, like pausing the game, trying to take pictures. Like I tried to remake the Spider-Man No More comic cover, stuff like that. I remember like that was my first interaction.
I think a lot of people do that kind of thing, especially with Spider-Man, because of the movies and the comics. They try to recreate something. And that, going back to Little Big Planet, that was something I always did. My levels were never like some original fantastic idea. I made an Asteroids clone. I made Pong. That's where I started. It's like something I know, and I made it with an AI that worked, and I was really proud of it. But that is a really good place to start. If you don't know what to do with it, get an idea of something else that you like and try and recreate it.
Yeah, even years later,
drawing.
Years later, when Ghost of Tsushima came out, I was trying to copy anime shots, like of the samurai cutting like 3 people and then putting the blade and then the enemies fall off. I tried to recreate those styles of shot from anime. I think that's a very good place to start, to like test the tool, see how the tool works, like search for shots from a movie that like from the, if you're playing the Batman games, go see shots from Batman. If you're playing Cyberpunk, go and watch Blade Runner. Try to recreate shots from movies. It's always like cool. I do another strategy, and we talked about this off the show, which is looking at other people's photos and trying to recreate them.
Yes.
And I do that a lot with yours. Yeah.
I know. I see it occasionally.
Yeah, I do. And honestly, I learned more about depth of field by doing that than by anything else.
So this is the thing, like, if you're starting out, you've got to have a purpose. Otherwise, it becomes aimless and you don't really create anything. And even if you might feel like using other people's shots as inspiration is just kind of copying, certainly to get you started and to familiarize yourself with different methods and different goals, it's a good thing to do. It's good for inspiration. It doesn't have to be even other Photomode shots, like you say, other posters, cinema shots, whatever. And once you know you're trying to achieve something, that's where you'll actually learn how to do it. You know, like that's how basically I learn everything, is break it down to what it all can do and then try to find out how to make those do the thing I want them to do. And that applies to everything.
Before, there were a lot of videos explaining how the 3-point light system of Spider-Man, of Miles Morales back then, worked. Can't remember who shot it was, but it was one with rim lighting, and I had no idea of the concept of rim lighting back then, and I was like placing the lights to try and mimic. It was not even a similar shot. It was just, how do I get this effect? And that's how I learned about like rim lighting. Like I didn't even knew that it had a name.
I would say, by the way, if you are starting new,
don't start with the lights.
No. Let's go somewhere simpler first.
That's a question that I was going to ask you. What do you think is a good photo mode for someone starting out?
To start out, you know what? I think I would probably say at the minute something like Kenna.
Ooh.
Because Kenna Bridge of Spirits, it's a really fantastic looking game. And because it's that sort of CGI style, it's not too intimidating, as in I've got to get the photorealism bang on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a little bit more forgiving in that. So, because what you don't want is for you to start and think, I'm not, like if you're trying to do car shots and you think it doesn't look as good as theirs, so that can be demoralizing. So the art style is beautiful, so it'll help you out itself. But the photo mode is really user-friendly. And it's even got some very fun features like the cheese and the pausing. And you get a lot of engagement with the characters, which when everything, let's remember, in a normal photo mode, you've got to sort of anticipate the moment, freeze it at the right time, and then work with the character. Maybe you've got poses, okay, static poses. But the Kenner one is much more engaging. It feels like you've got a living subject in front of a camera, so it's a lot more natural.
Yeah.
It's got really, really good cinematic style depth of field. It's got nice aspect ratios to use, but it added a lighting system. I know we've just said don't start with lighting,
but it's static, right?
The kind of preset ones, so they're nice learning tools if you want. So you can, like you just said, you saw a rim light effect and wanted to recreate it in Kenner, you could cycle through the presets and go, that's the one I like, and then you can turn the lights around and you get a feel for how it's been lit.
Still haven't passed the tutorial level.
What? Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
well, that's next week's episode.
There was a bug at launch with the photo mode and the blur on the hair.
But you could overcome it by enabling the animation again.
Yeah, I learned that after stopping, and then I actually stopped it because it was when I got Far Cry 6 and I had to do the work for Ubisoft, so I didn't have time, and then I didn't have the motivation to go back and replay the game. But every time that we talk about Kenna, I'm like, I should squeeze it.
It's a really excellent game and an excellent photo mode. So I think that's a really good starting point. Plus, it's quite it can be a hard game. I think it's got easy mode now, but it's child-friendly content as well, mostly. I think. I don't know what the age rating is.
I would never say Kenna. Like, it very good reasoning, and I agree with everything that you said. But I would go for a more mainstream game.
Okay. So you're thinking of what the effects on the sharing?
Not the effects of sharing. Not that. But like, if you're starting out, you want to play something that you might be familiar with, that you played, and Kenna is an indie game, so not many people played it. So I would go for more like Horizon, not because of the sharing on social media, but because you probably play Horizon. You probably know that world, so you know what to capture, and you can go from there. And another one, but I get that many people will say it's a bit too hard for beginners, is Ghost of Tsushima.
I don't think I would say it's too hard, actually.
Like, I really like that the layout of the tools is very like it's a single tab, so you don't have to, and then you have light control, but it's time of day. That's a good way to like keep it like you understand light. Yeah. If you understand like just the basic of light,
it's like a different atmosphere rather than manual studio lighting. Tsushima's a good shout, actually.
And the world is so beautiful that you can get really pretty shots almost without understanding the tools that much. You know what I mean? Like, you don't to take an epic photo, you don't need to use all the tools, because the world is already, the art style is already doing most of the work for you anyway.
And the photo opportunities are so good as well. Yeah. I mean, ultimately,
just don't start with Mortal Shell.
don't miss August, whatever the date will be.
I will be so sick on that day.
No, you can't phone in sick for the podcast. That doesn't work. We just record it the day after. But yeah, there isn't a wrong place to start, I don't think. Well, maybe there is if you
start with Mortal Shell.
But yeah, okay, maybe because that could put you off because of the process.
Even
being
the
very inhibitive.
Spider-Man, the new one, not the PS4 vanilla photo mode. If you go to the new one and you have back focus, near focus, you have the light system, the 3-point light system. You have a lot of stickers, and I'm sorry, but someone starting out might think, oh, I have to use this. I have to use all the tools, and you have hundreds of stickers. So
just cover the entire screen.
Yeah, like, and there is such a thing as too many options, and you feel that pressure with the Spider-Man games. Something that you don't feel with Ghost of Tsushima, because you have kind of frames, kind of stickers all together, but other than that, you don't have all that much.
Yeah, I don't think the stickers are that confusing as a concept, but
I for the longest time didn't know how to delete the stickers.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't help you with that.
Because you never use them.
On the side of being too many options, absolutely right. The same goes for with a real camera. If someone asks me what camera shall I buy, well, that depends, because you will take better pictures. Like, as a complete novice, you will probably take better pictures with a simple camera than with a really expensive high-end camera, because the more manual control, the more onus there is on you to get it right. You can take a bad picture with a fantastic camera. You can take a good picture with a cheap camera. But let's say you do buy, a semi-pro one, and you've got full manual everything. My advice is always don't start on full manual. Start on, say, aperture priority, and limit yourself to one function. So you would then work with the aperture to control your depth of field. Learn how that works. And when you think, what I want, this comes back to the having a goal. What I want is a nice portrait with a blurred out background. How do I achieve that? Well, you need a lens that's got a wide enough aperture for a start, but then you've got to set that aperture to be a large setting, and then you start to see that can achieve it. When I was learning my first SLR, the lens I had with it wasn't capable really, and you start to once you bump up against the limitations of that, then you go, now I know what I need, and then you upgrade. But yeah, like in the photo mode, same idea. Start with the basics, which funnily enough we did last week.
Yeah, it's
start with the essentials. So what was it? We did field of view / zoom.
Yeah.
Focus and depth of field.
And movement.
What else?
Movement.
Movement.
The camera movement. Yeah.
So start with familiarizing yourself with all of that. Get the composition right. Don't worry about all of the filters and all the stickers and any flashy frames and stuff. That doesn't really matter. Get the light and composition are the most important things.
Yeah,
get those right, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, and after you capture that photo,
there is no more. That's it. It's finished.
That's it. Okay. Okay. Maybe not after, but do you think it's good for people starting out? Okay, I took a couple of pictures. I liked it. I posted on social media. I found hundreds, if not dozens, of community accounts with weekly themes, with challenges, with everything. Should I go for it? Should I try and this week's theme is red? Should I
Yeah.
take like a ton of red pictures and post them?
I would probably yes, but not too many. Same principle,
Yeah.
don't do too much of the same thing. Back when we started, there was not that many
No.
community accounts, and they were a bit more differentiated, so you had a bit more of a different feel to the way each one operated. And it was easy then to sort of pick which things to get involved in. Now I can see that it might be a little bit more overwhelming. I don't know which hashtags to use. I don't know who to tag, etc. So just start off with whatever you come across, really. There isn't a right or a wrong thing to do, because doing those themes shouldn't be necessarily about how big the theme is. It's about giving you an inspiration, like of a topic to go and capture a certain type of shot, and then helping to share that. So they can all work.
Yeah, even taking you out of your comfort zone. Like I only take portraits. I focus mainly on portraits. Oh, this week's theme is landscapes. Let's give it a try. I think they are good until you yourself feel like you learn everything that you had to learn with those themes, and you grew your own community inside the community, and then you can like. I feel like it's passing the torch to the newer ones, like to not overwhelm people with, like, oh, this guy is doing this for 5 years or 6 years. He's already super good doing all the themes. So I might feel dismotivated because we are now doing the same theme and my photos aren't as good, or I feel like my photos aren't as good.
Or at the very least, the interaction on them is so visibly different. Because a well-established account might post to that theme and get several hundred interactions, and someone new obviously might get less than 10, and they think, well, why is that picture so much better? It might not be. It might be inferior, but the account has obviously got the activity. As you go on, I think so one of the ones I do like seeing each year is the one that Gamergram have just done, their 30-day challenge.
The 30 days, yeah.
And I think that's a good one to test yourself when you're a bit more experienced, because it's that kind of quick. If you do it new with a new shot each day. Last year I did it with a new shot each day in the same game. I did it all in Deathloop, and that was quite tough. Because I didn't know.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, of course.
Ooh.
The challenge. I finished the challenge. I didn't finish Deathloop. Yeah, I did the challenge. But yeah, I think they are a good thing for new people to take part in. Not only for the inspiration, but because it helps you to discover the community a bit more.
Yeah.
And to actually start to interact with other people who are doing the same stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Like, choose a game that you like with the tools not being super overwhelming. I think that's the best advice.
But that's kind of hindsight advice. Like, if you haven't ever used a Photomode, you don't know whether the tools are going to be overwhelming.
But like you said, like, even if you have you are starting with a Photomode that has all the tools, start with the basics, start with the composition, and I think that's the conclusion of this episode. Don't overwhelm yourself with like too many platforms, with too many tools, doing too much stuff at the beginning. Start out like slow, learn the ropes of social media, of how to capture, how to post, and then go on from there.
Yeah.
And listen to this podcast.
And absolutely listen to this podcast, like, subscribe, etc.
Every week.
It's the only way to actually improve your virtual photography. Proven. Proven fact. Yeah. But even if you don't be disheartened, I think, by any perceived lack of progress, because the real progress is in your sort of artistic growth, and you can only see that over time. And likes, etc. on social media aren't really an indicator of that. Well, they're not an indicator. It's all of your artistic progress. So don't read too much into that. Yeah.
Right now, posts from Clive from Final Fantasy 16 are doing the rounds because people are super thirsty for Clive. Like,
Apparently,
so
it's
like
just front face shots of Clive. That's
yeah, and no, but it's because people really think they is super attractive,
yeah.
and
It's
yeah,
the hot new topic, and the photo mode doesn't really let you do much else.
yeah,
But yeah, I've seen maybe enough of those already. I
yeah.
think.
I been actively trying to avoid portraits of Clive. I took 1 week off social media, and I come and it's Clive, 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 Clive. And now I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with all my portraits of
You see,
Clive?
Okay, so this is another thing. Like when you are new, you're likely to sort of maybe do the
Yeah.
most obvious things. And the one thing to avoid, by the way, is just taking shots of just the game. If it looks too much like the game, then you've got lots to advance from on that. But you will obviously start. Let's say you're in Horizon, it's pictures of Aloy all the time, and that's fine. It's somewhere to start, but try to limit yourself. If you know what I mean, like don't do just that, and then you will grow. It's something I always.
I often go through my albums, like like God of War. I'm playing God of War, and I'm like, oh, I have too many action shots.
Yeah.
So
stop
for
doing
the
action
next
shots and-
for
yeah.
the next like 2 days that I'm going to play the game, no action shots. Even if I pause the game in a nice action, I'm like, I'm going
Yeah.
to sacrifice this.
Try and use it differently. Say, what else can I do with this moment? And I think doing stuff like that will like make you develop really quickly. Actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No more
let us know
advices?
your tips, people.
Yeah. In here on or on our Twitter post. Give advice, please. See ya.